I'll be talking about Orange is the New Black, a Netflix series, and how it relates to the sociological concepts we covered in this course. So the Netflix series stars Piper Chapman, who plays Piper Kerman's character, who is in her 30s. She was sentenced to prison for 15 months because of transporting drug money to her ex-girlfriend Alex, who is an international smuggler. So the story is set at Litchfield Penitentiary in Litchfield, New York, and the characters that I'm going to talk about are the following. So the inmates are Piper Chapman, who is the main character, Alex Voss, Nikki Nichols, Suzanne Crazy Eyes, Big Boo, Gloria Mendoza, Tiffany Pensatucky Doggett, Cindy Hayes, Maria Ruiz, Elida Diaz, Judy King, Angie, Leanne Watson, Lorna, Allison, and Ouija. And the correctional officers are C.O. Bailey, C.O. Coates, C.O. Piscatella, and the warden of the correctional facility is Joe Caputo. So in the first episode, Sing It White Effie, correctional officers are locked in a room. The inmates are having a bidding war of who gets to hold Judy King hostage, and the blacks end up winning the bidding war. The governor ordered the MCC, which is the Management and Correction Corporation, to send in his own team, and Watson was having flashbacks as a teenage girl in school, and at the end of the episode, Allison, Tacy, Cindy, and Watson get PR Josh to help with the media coverage for Judy King. When they go outside in front of the media, Tacy steps in front of Judy King and delivers a moving speech. She says, "Our fight is with a system that don't give a damn about being poor people and brown people and poor brown people." And then after the speech, C.O. Coates comes out of the prison with a gun and passes out on the ground to end the episode. So the functionalist concept, conflict theory, and racism all play a role. So functionalist is when Watson had the flashback as a teenage school girl, and she had toward a upper white class school, and the school is actually trying to bring ethnic groups together, so that kind of covers the functionalist theory. The conflict theory is the great divide between the prison system and the government, and how the government uses bribes to try to control the prison. And lastly, racism plays a role, and an example is a quote when Tacy says, "They think y'all terrorists." Allison states, "What's offensive is that a photograph of two idiots wearing hijabs automatically gets labeled as terrorism." So that covers the racism. So in episode 2, Flaming Hot Cheetos, Tacy has flashbacks of when she was a girl and how she grew up in a group home, and she was able to get discharged from the group home and meet her mother, but her mother denied her to come back to her house and live with her. So Tacy ended up having to live on her own. And besides from the flashbacks, the inmates end up sending a box of Cheetos to kind of bribe them to try to come up with a solution to free the hostages. And Tasty, Cindy, and Allison and Watson speak up to Nita, who is from the government office, about releasing the hostages, and Tacy sees Nita is just trying to convince the inmates and pushes back by telling Nita to meet their demands. So, and then Piper gets bored, so she joins in on the action, and Frida passes out secret invitations to join her in a secret spot she set up in the prison. So this episode relates to conflict theory because there's a great divide in the corporate and the inmates. The government tries to use the power to get the inmates to stop rioting by bringing in Cheetos and tampons. So that's what that was covered in episode 2. Episode 3 is full bush, half snicker. The riot begins to slow down. The inmates come together and put together a flea market and start to think about what the outside world would look like and try to recreate those ideas within the prison. The functionalist theory stands out with different ethnic groups coming together to bring peace to the riot. Functionalists would see that these inequalities have existed for a long period of time. In closing, synthesis, the conceptual analysis all has similar concepts. In each episode, there was definitely racism and discrimination. Remarks against inmates, ethnic groups were divided based on color, religion, and culture. The conflict theory stood out the most in each episode due to the social class divides. So these conceptual themes relate to societal norms and the way people get treated in prison. And this TV series also shows how different groups come together to protect and support one another.